What's the best possible guitar practice routine? How long should you really practice each day? Which exercises should you practice at which tempos? And how do you make the most amount of progress in the shortest amount of time possible? Those are the biggest questions I get asked every single day in my online guitar academy on patreon.com/burned by over 8,000 active students at the moment. So since those are your burning questions, I wanted to make this new video discussing the practice routine and approach that made me a professional guitar player. I started working with this routine around 7 years ago already, and since then I could amass over 200 million views with my guitar playing here on YouTube. I got invited by awesome bands like Tool to join them on stage for guest solos. I could contribute guitar solos and overdubs to 4 gold and 3 platinum records, and to be completely honest, I think most of that is because of my practice schedule and my routine. Absolutely nothing that I have achieved as a professional musician so far could have been possible without this routine, and today I want to share it with you in detail so that you can steal absolutely everything. So grab a pen and a sheet of paper and possibly a coffee, just like me, and let's dive into this right now. So I want to divide this into multiple chapters to make this as easy to digest as possible, and the first one is called discipline and consistency. I have to talk about this real quick because this is actually the most important thing and your biggest takeaway today. If you pick your practice routine, you have to stick to it. We're all living different lives and we all have a different amount of time that we can spend on playing guitar. You have to find a time frame that works, and a practice routine and dedicated practice time that works for you 5 days a week, 6 days a week, or maybe even 7 days a week, and you have to stick to it. I wish I could say this 99 times in this video, but all of you would click away. Picking 1 hour to start out with is a great idea because you can easily separate this 1 hour into 4 different blocks of 15 minutes and dedicate different topics to it. If you have more time and you can be consistent with that, you can also practice more, but 1 hour is a great way of just starting out, getting into the rhythm without getting too intimidated or bored of it and then falling off after a couple of weeks or months. Topic number 2 is the time of day. In my case, I found the perfect routine by practicing right after getting up and getting up very, very early. When I started out, I got up at 4:30 in the morning, and I did that for 5 to 6 years. Right now I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning because I feel a little bit more rested and I feel like I can use my brain a little bit better. Before that, I tried practicing at the end of my day or during the day. I was always practicing at random times and it never really turned into a routine or a habit for me. Just imagine brushing your teeth at completely random times during each day. So one day you do it after waking up, the other day you just do it once at, I don't know, 2 p.m. or something. Brushing your teeth is something that you do automatically. You don't even think about it after you get up and before you go to sleep, or at least I hope you do that. And if your practice routine becomes like this, it will also really help with being consistent. The next topic is picking technique. If you're subscribed to my Guitar Academy YouTube channel, which you should be because you get reminded whenever I post a new video, you know that I talk a lot about picking technique. The reason for that is it doesn't really matter if you want to become a rock or metal player or a jazz player or a pop player or a blues player. Picking technique is something that concerns all of us. And one technique, which is actually the most popular one if you think about it, is alternate picking. So a consistent stream of down, up, and so on. So this is something you absolutely need to master because you will need it all the time in the practical context, especially if you want to become a pro musician. So my first practice block each day is dedicated to warming up and further training my picking hand. I do change my workouts quite frequently. I don't want to work on the same exercises forever, but some classic things I can definitely recommend for you is going for 2-note per string exercises, because when most guitar players work on their picking technique, they always practice 3-note per string lines, like full scale workouts for example, but only playing 2 notes per string at quite fast tempos really unlocked my wrist, because when people play very fast alternate picking on just 1 string for example, they have the bad habit of using the entire arm for that. But when you play workouts where you just play 2 notes per string and then you have to move on to the next string and so on, you can't do that by using your full arm because you constantly have to transition between the strings. Another thing I really recommend for this practice block is working on odd note groupings. A classic exercise that I can't recommend enough, and I did it today as well in the morning, is working with this 7-note grouping for example. Check it out. For this workout I'm just playing 7 notes per string, then I'm moving to the next string and then to the next, and that way the picking pattern turns around all the time. Now when it comes to actual exercises that you should practice, I made a full comprehensive guide and masterclass for you when it comes to picking technique. That's my alternate picking masterclass. All my guitar students on patreon.com/burned have access to this one. It features the absolute best alternate picking workouts out there. I tried over 300 guitar exercises, and this special program consists of the absolute best ones. If you really want to come up with a consistent consistent practice routine that turns you into a professional player. This is your shortcut. You don't have to piece this all together by yourself. Just click the link down below, download this package, and it will get you started right away with the first block. Now the next big topic you definitely have to work on, and you definitely have to dedicate some time on when it comes to your practice routine, is your fretting hand technique. This is obviously something that concerns all of us guitar players. Again, your fretting hand needs to be in great shape in order to be a professional guitar player. What that means is your fingers don't just have to be fast and independent. You also will need to have figured out the thumb position all across the neck. So where do you place your thumb to support your fingers? You will have to be able to control all of your fingers, especially that annoying pinky finger, so that it doesn't bend away from the fretboard. You have to develop a nice curl with your fingers so that they hit the strings at a perfect angle. So you need to be fully in control of your fretting hand, not the other way around. Sometimes the fretting hand is in control of you. And the best and most effective way that I found of gaining full control of your fretting hand so that you can play anything that you want is working on legato every single day. What that means is focusing especially on hammer-ons and pull-offs with your fretting hand with close to no assistance from your picking hand. So your fretting hand has to work pretty much on its own. By working on legato exercises, I corrected pretty much all of my bad fretting hand technique habits, because it's impossible to play fast and fluid legato lines with bad technique. You will end up with a lot of string noise, your fingers will fly away from the fretboard, and the legato line you're trying to play will disintegrate. To provide some context, this is an awesome legato workout, and this should exemplify what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I really focus on developing economy of motion when I practice like this. The fingers are really close to the fretboard. My pinky finger isn't bending away like this all the time. My thumb is in the right position to actually support my fingers from behind the neck. It's not peeking out like this or positioned in some kind of weird way. Once again, if you want to fill this practice block with the best possible exercises, I also made a full legato exercise package for all of my students on patreon.com/burn. This one once again comes with the most effective legato workouts ever, the exact workouts that I've been practicing over the last years, and these will help you with getting rid of all the annoying frustrations when it comes to your fretting hand technique while still being musical and fun workouts. So my personal recommendation to fill this practice block that's all about your fretting hand every day, just download this package and you're set forever. Now the next thing that most guitar players ignore, please do not be one of them, is also working on music theory in your practice routine. I know it doesn't sound fun at first. You want to work on your technique, you want to get better, faster, stronger, but if you don't know what you're doing, for example, if you can't even see the notes that you're playing on the fretboard and you can't memorize or see the most important scales and arpeggios on the neck, you will never become a professional guitar player, because you will always play the same old boring stuff, just a couple of tricks that you learned, some patterns that you memorized, and it will always sound like you're just playing exercises and like you don't really have any idea of what you're actually doing. So when it comes to theory, fretboard visualization is incredibly important to practice. If you have not visually unlocked your fretboard yet, please do it. So you definitely want to be able to see the notes across the neck as you're playing. You want to see the most important scales. For most working musicians, understanding the modes is the bare minimum. If you're completely lost and you have no idea where to start with all this because you never had any kind of formal music education, please remember that I also have some music theory courses in my online guitar academy on Patreon that take you from the basics step by step to more advanced and super interesting topics. So if you need a comprehensive step-by-step guide, just get started with the course programs I especially made for my online guitar academy and you're all set. And if you're going for this 4-block system that I recommend starting out with, I would personally try to make that last block as practical as possible. One thing that I've been doing consistently for many years now is ending my practice routines with a bit of improvisation. Not because I want to become the world's greatest improviser. I much prefer writing music and writing my guitar solos, trying to come up with the best possible melodies and the best possible structure. I work on that not only to keep my brain fit when it comes to theory and switching between scales and trying out different phrases and growing as a player, but I also love to work on it because all the techniques I'm practicing and all the things that I'm trying to perfect in exercises come together here, fluidly switching between different picking styles at multiple different tempos, or playing completely different practical mixes of arpeggios and scales with your fretting hand. So working on something practical like improvisation at the end of my routine has really helped with tying all of this together. At the end, make sure to join my actual online guitar academy on patreon.com/burn. As I mentioned, you get full detailed course packages over there that really tell you what exactly to practice, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. It's the closest thing from me actually being in the room with you, telling you, okay, position your hand like this, hold your pick like that. I'm waiting for you inside Patreon. For now, have an amazing day. Greetings from Vienna and bye bye.